We play a BVB spot. Our hand is a 3-bet. My opponent 4-bets. King Jack suited is definitely a call. His 4-bet range, given that it's a BVB spot, is not all that strong. He obviously has all the premium hands, but he has more bluffs that he will than from other positions. On this flop we have a backdoor flush draw, we have a gut shot. He bets a quarter of the pot, which is pretty standard. I'm not sure if I can raise here. I probably can, but I don't want to because I have equity. I want to realize it. I'm in position. I just call. Now the 3 of clubs comes on the turn. I have a flush draw. And he bets a third of the pot. I think again the best thing to do is to just call and hope to get there on the river. I called and the river is a brick. Okay, and he checks. So again, theoretically on this river I think the best thing to do is just give up. I think it's actually a punt to shove here. But in my experience, when people take that line, here they will not have a strong range on the river. Like very rarely will I see aces or kings or ace queen on the river here when he checks. I think with those holdings he would like to bet again to shove on the river so that he doesn't miss on value. He doesn't give me an easy check back with a hand like tens or a worse queen that I will have. So I can pretty much take it out of his range. So his range becomes very weak when he checks on the river. I think it's mostly a give up. At least that's my thought process. So because I believe that, I thought that I have to shove. Hello everyone, my name is Nick and this is a video for CGC. Today we're gonna be playing at reg tables, mostly 200 and a little bit of 500 no limit. Let's begin. The tables with blue color are 200 and the tables with brown color are 500 no limit. On the bottom right table we have our first spot. The button player open raises. We are the big blind with Jack 10 of hearts. We are gonna 3-bet. He calls, and now this is a flop where I bet my whole range. I use 50% as my sizing. There are other strategies that we could use, like a mixed strategy with 75%, but I think a range bet keeps things simpler and it's very effective. My opponent calls. And now on this turn, I think checking or betting are both fine. If I bet, I think 33% or 50%. 50% maybe is the correct sizing. I'm not sure though. I checked this time. I would also check with very strong hands. My opponent checks back, and now my hand, now the ace comes, and my hand is probably a give up. But I thought that his range will consist. Okay, his range will consist of ace-x that he calls on the flop and then he checks back on the on the turn because he has showdown value, but he will also have 5s, 6s, 7s, pocket pairs that he will not want to call a bet when the ace comes on the river. So I targeted those hands and I decided to bluff with my hand. It didn't work, unfortunately. He shoves. Obviously, we can never call. On the top left table we have kings, there's action, there is a open raise from early position, there's a 3-bet from the cutoff player. We are gonna put in a 4-bet. Unfortunately, no action. We just take it down pre-flop. Now on the top right table we have a BVB spot. My hand, the ace-3 of clubs, can be a call or a 3-bet. Both are fine. We just called this time. This is a flop where I expect my opponent to bet his whole range. He doesn't. And now, given that it's a flop that he has great advantage, I want to either check back, mostly check back actually, or when I bet, I will use a big size, like an overbet. Don't know if it's the best strategy because given that it's a BVB spot and the ranges are wide, we could also have a small sizing. But again, I like to keep things simple, so I will either check back or bet big. Now on this turn he checks again. Not really sure how to approach this because it doesn't really happen all that often. I didn't feel like checking back again. I bet 50%, doesn't seem right now that I see it again, but not sure what to do. He calls, and on this river I think I just want to go to showdown. Yeah, he checks, I'm gonna check back. Don't see many hands calling that are worse than mine. We split, we have the same hand. A small spot. Still, the flop was pretty interesting, I think. Another BVB spot is that with Jack-10 of spades. We are the small blind this time, my opponent calls. This is a flop where I will use a mixed strategy with 33% as my sizing. I will mostly check, I will check a lot, but I think this hand is a hand that I want to bet with. I didn't, but okay. Had my opponent bet on this flop, I would definitely raise with my hand. He didn't, he checked back. So now the turn brings a straight, and I want to bet now. But I will not use a big sizing because of the straight. I will bet 33%. I think it's the correct sizing. If it was a different turn, like a 7 or something, we could bet bigger, but not when the straight is on board. He doesn't call, so again, a small spot. I'm gonna put back the video a bit to see the Queen 10 hand from the beginning. We are at middle position. We raise, big blind player calls. This is a flop where I will use a mixed strategy. Queen 10 could definitely be a bet, but I also want to protect my checking range, and it feels like a perfect candidate to be a check back, because I don't really want to check back hands like ace 10 or king 10 and lose value and miss on value. This hand is a strong hand, but it's not the best possible kicker. We don't need that much protection. We have a backdoor flush draw, so I think we can check back with this hand. I did. Now on this turn he stabs. He uses 75%. Nothing to do other than to call. Not the best river. Now there's a straight on board, there's a flush on board, he checks. I'm not gonna bet. I will just go to showdown. He has king 10, so we lose this one. With my ace 10 of clubs, I can either 3-bet or just call. I called this time. There's also a spot on the top middle table. I have 7-3 of spades. My opponent, who is recreational, open raised. This is a call from the big blind, but even if it wasn't, I would, against the recreational, I would call. And now on this flop I have a pair, I have backdoor flush draw. My opponent bets, I will call. And on the turn we have a flush draw. My opponent bets again. He uses a small sizing. I think the best thing to do here is just call again. The river brings in the river we hit the flush and he checks. So now I will bet 75% because I want to get value from ace x or something even worse, I don't know. He doesn't call. So a very slow start to this video, not any big spots for now. Now we have ace-10 off at the middle table in the bottom. Big blind will defend. This is a flop where I will bet small and with my whole range. My opponent calls, and on this turn pretty much nothing changes. So when I bet again, I want to use an overbet, but given that there's a flush draw on board, so the dynamics can change on the river, I will not use a very big overbet. I will bet like 130%. If it was the 6 of diamonds, I could bet bigger. I could bet like 200%. Okay, and he folds. And we also have a spot with a 9-7 of clubs. I open raise from the button, big blind defends. He checks on the flop. That's also a flop where I will range bet 33%. The more it's a bit unconnected still, that's why I used a range bet 33%, but the more the middle cards connect, the more I tend to use mixed strategy and not bet my whole range. This is borderline, I think, but I will bet range bet here. He calls, so I don't know if theoretically we can overbet here, but again, my thought process here is that there's a straight now on the turn, so I don't want to use an overbet because I want to bet with my straights, obviously, but I also want to bet with two pair or sets or even a hand like ace jack. I want to bet. I can get value from worse. So with all those hands, I don't want to bet that big, given that there's a straight. Also, another reason for betting here with my hand is that the 5 is the 5 of spades, so many backdoor flush draws missed, and he will fold. He will fold very often. If it was the 5 of hearts, I wouldn't like it that much, or the 5 of diamonds. So I bet 75%. He calls, and now the king of hearts comes on the river. We don't hit our straight, but we have to bluff. I can't just check back. The sizing I will use here is an overbet, and I will also bet all my value combos, sets to pairs and stuff like that will be overbets. He folds pretty quickly again. That's nice. At the top left table we have ace king off. There's a raise from middle position player and a call from the cutoff. The cutoff is recreational. I will 3-bet with my ace king. Middle position player folds. Cutoff calls pretty quickly. He could have anything really. He didn't really think when he called the 2 blinds. He didn't really think when he called the 9 blinds. 3-bet. I can't really put a range on him. He could have a small random pocket pair. He could have ace x. He could have anything. This is a flop where most of his range won't connect all that well with, but he definitely also doesn't want to fold very often. So if I bet, I think a good strategy here is to bet big. I could also bet small, but with the logic in my mind that I will not take it down on this street. I will continue to bluff and try to take it down on a later street. I like more the approach that I bet big on this street and try to get him off a hand like 10 jack or ace queen or something like that. If he calls the big bet on the flop, I'm not sure I will continue very often. We could check back also with ace king. It has plenty of showdown value. I just did it mostly for protection. He snap calls, which is very problematic for me. The jack of diamond comes. Again, maybe he could have 5 6s, which is a hand he will not want to continue all that often. But okay, if he has an 8, if he has 9s, if he has 10s, I'm not sure how he will fold ever. If he hit the jack, okay, he's never folding. I'm actually trying to put a range on him, but I think it's impossible. The main thing I'm worried about is that I bet 75 on the flop and he snap called, so I think he will not fold very often, even when an overcard comes. Had I bet smaller on the flop, it would be a different story. I would mostly continue. And given the circumstances, I sat down on the turn, and when he bets on the river, I'm not sure I can ever call. I really have no idea what he can have, but okay. Another spot is the king jack of clubs. We play a BVB spot. Our hand is a 3-bet. My opponent 4-bets. King jack suited is definitely a call. His 4-bet range, given that it's a BVB spot, is not all that strong. He obviously has all the premium hands, but he has more bluffs that he will than from other positions. On this flop we have a backdoor flush draw, we have a gut shot. He bets a quarter of the pot, which is pretty standard. I'm not sure if I can raise here. I probably can, but I don't want to, because I have equity. I want to realize it. I'm in position. I just call. Now the 3 of clubs comes on the turn. I have a flush draw. And he bets a third of the pot. I think again the best thing to do is to just call and hope to get there on the river. I called and the river is a brick. Okay, and he checks. So again, theoretically, on this river, I think the best thing to do is just give up. I think it's actually a punt to shove here. But in my experience, when people take that line, here they will not have a strong range on the river. Like very rarely will I see aces or kings or ace queen on the river here when he checks. I think with those holdings he would like to bet again to shove on the river so that he doesn't miss on value. He doesn't give me an easy check back with a hand like tens or a worse queen that I will have. So I can pretty much in reality take it out of his range. So his range becomes very weak when he checks on the river. I think it's mostly a give up. At least that's my thought process. So because I believe that, I thought that I have to shove. He folded, so it went through. Again, I think in theory it's a mistake to bet on this on the river to bluff, but in reality he never has the range that solver has, and the same would apply to me. I would never check aces on the river. I would never check ace queen or something. I would always shove. Given that it's on 500, which is the stake that I take a shot at, my heart was beating very fast. Nothing going on in any of the tables. Okay, again, against the same player we have king jack off this time, small blind versus button. This is a hand where I will mix folding and 3-betting, but given that we are 3-handed now, we can 3-bet always, I think. He calls, and this is a flop where I want to bet small, because he will have many hands that he will snap fold. It's a flush draw, so he will have many suited cards like spades or clubs that no matter the sizing that I use, he will fold. I bet 25%. And he calls. Now on the 10 of spades on the turn, I think in theory again the best thing to do is continue betting. But given that it's 500, it's the stake that I take a shot at, and that I don't even have the best kicker to go along with my top pair, I think I wanted to maintain some pot control, so I decided to check it. Obviously I will call if he bets. He doesn't bet, he checks. And on this river we have top two pair. I want to bet now to try to get the value that I missed on the earlier street. I don't know if I could check and give him a chance to bluff. It's also something to think about. There's a missed flush draw. Yeah, he folded pretty quickly. So I think that was the last interesting spot of the video. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thanks a lot for watching, and good luck at the tables.